Good evening to all. Am I audible and visible properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we were discussing about the rocks and we have covered primary rocks as well as secondary rock. में sedimentary भी did it ना? Sedimentary हो चुका है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So today we are going to discuss. I have shared the board. Visible है board बच्चे?
Yes,
हाँ,
sir.
sir.
There is metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock. So whether it is igneous rock or it is sedimentary rock. Both undergoes metamorphism and there will be formation of metamorphic rock from igneous rock also, and from sedimentary rock also there will be metamorphic rock. That means metamorphic rock can be formed from the primary rock as well as it is formed from the secondary rock. For example, if we talk about granite, when there is metamorphism, granite turn into gneiss. This is the example of igneous rock turning into metamorphic rock. And for example, limestone, which is being the sedimentary rock, limestone, and it get converted into marble. So marble is an example of metamorphic. So there is a terminology that is what metamorphism. What does it mean? Metamorphism. The process of metamorphism is what? There is a complete change in the form. Complete change in the form. There is a complete change in the form. And this change in the form is through recrystallization. And a redistribution. Recrystallization and redistribution of the crystals. And we call it metamorphism, or the process is called as metamorphosis. Process is called as metamorphosis. And the parent rock get a sea change in the internal structure and it become metamorphic rock. So the word metamorphism comes from the process that is what? Metamorphosis. And this metamorphosis is the word that involves recrystallization and the redistribution of internal structure, right? Again, the process of metamorphism process of metamorphism doesn't involve disintegration. There is no disintegration. Okay. In the words of P.G. Rochester, in 1948, he said, metamorphism is a complete change. लिख लो इसको. complete change either in form or composition without disintegration without disintegration without disintegration. Fine. So what is going to happen? There is recrystallization and redistribution. That is what called as metamorphism. So what are the agents of metamorphism? Agents of metamorphism. In general, we have heat, we have dynamism, that include compressional force, or that we call folding also. And it takes place when plates are moving towards each other. Plates are moving towards each other, and there is buckling up of the plate margin, which we call folding, and there is formation of fold mountain. Later on, we will discuss. So there will be dynamism or tangential force, which is what compression in nature. And the third agent is water. Water that is undergoing solution. Solution is a process in which soluble mineral get dissolved. And water also performs certain chemical reaction inside the rock. Reaction change the interior of the rock. Change the interior of the rock. So these are the agent, and what kind of change they can bring? They can bring either change in metamorphism is of two types. Change in metamorphism is of two types. One is chemical change. Chemical change. Another one is physical change. Physical change. Fine. Chemical change involves certain chemical reaction. Chemical reaction. It is either due to heat, it may be due to pressure, or it may be due to both. And there is a chemical reaction which is taking place inside the rock, and rock get metamorphosed. And physical change, that means it alters the physical structure, alters the physical property. It alters the physical property of the rock. Maybe there is different cleavage formation. Cleavage may be fold formation, isn't it? And it may also be there that the size of the grain can be changed. Size of the crystals or grain can be changed. This also involves alignment. Alignment of the crystal get altered. So this is what we call physical change. That means it doesn't involve any chemical reaction. Rather, it's a pure compression force, pressure, and maybe heat that involve all these physical change. While in chemical change, there will be certain chemical reaction, and this chemical reaction change the chemical composition of the interior of the rock. Fine. Certainly, there will be certain chemical reaction. Let's talk about the different types of metamorphism. Types of metamorphism. Although there are two main types, one that involve chemical change and another one that involve physical change. But again, in optional, we have different types of classification, like first classification on the basis of agent. Agent of metamorphism. On the basis of agent of metamorphism. So on the basis of agent of metamorphism, first one is thermal metamorphism. Thermal metamorphism. And as the name suggests, the heat is going to be the agent. Heat. Second one is dynamic metamorphism. Dynamic metamorphism. And this dynamic metamorphism is basically due to compressional force. Compression, and this compression lead to pressure. Dynamic metamorphism. Fine. Third one is hydro metamorphism. Hydro metamorphism. And in hydrometamorphism, there is hydrostatic pressure. Hydrostatic pressure. ये हाइड्रोस्टैटिक प्रेशर कैसा? जैसे मान लीजिए आपने कोई डैम बनाया और डैम में सिल्ट इकट्ठा हुआ, ऊपर से पानी के दबाव के कारण वो जो सिल्ट था सेडिमेंट्री रॉक में बदला और फिर वो सेडिमेंट्री रॉक प्रेशर के कारण मेटामॉर्फोस्ड हो गया, तो उसे हाइड्रो मेटामॉर्फिज्म कहेंगे. हाइड्रो मेटामॉर्फिज्म. अनदर वन इज हाइड्रोथर्मल मेटामॉर्फिज्म. Hydrothermal metamorphism. This involves both water as well as heat. Hydrothermal metamorphism. So these four type of metamorphism is on the very basis of nature of agent involved in the process of metamorphism. Here water is there. Hydro का मतलब water ही हुआ ना बच्चे. There will be water plus thermal, that means heat. Both are there. Okay. Again, another classification is on the basis of place or area of metamorphism. On the basis of place or area of metamorphism. Okay. So one is contact metamorphism. Contact metamorphism. Contact metamorphism. Here what happened? It is localized area. In a small area, we have this contact metamorphism. It may be thermal, है ना? Or there is another division, regional metamorphism. Regional metamorphism. In regional metamorphism, it involve large area. Large area. Obviously, regional metamorphism dynamic in nature. Dynamic, it is due to compressional force. जहाँ कहीं फोल्डिंग वगैरह हो रही हो, माउंटेन बन रहे हो, फोल्ड माउंटेन, वहां आपको रीजनल मेटामॉर्फिज्म देखने को मिलेगी. And there is third classification, that is what? Composite classification. Composite classification that involve area as well as agent of metamorphism. This involve area as well as agent of metamorphism. For example, number one, contact or thermal metamorphism. Fine. Second, dynamic and regional metamorphism. Regional metamorphism. Third, hydrometamorphism or hydrostatic metamorphism. And fourth one is hydrothermal metamorphism. Hydrothermal metamorphism. Let's talk about contact metamorphism that involve what? Heating effect. So let's take up one by one. Contact metamorphism. Contact metamorphism. ठीक है बच्चे? So here heat is involved. Thank you. Here heat is involved. Fine. So in contact metamorphism, as we know that it is taking place in a smaller area. And what happened? Suppose that there is a rock. These are the crustal rock. Suppose that this is the crustal rock that contains let's say it's a sedimentary rock. Fine. And because of, and this is inside the earth crust. These are the crustal. And we have this sedimentary rock. Let's say it's a limestone block. Limestone. And there is a possibility that there can be a magma chamber somewhere inside, from where the magma start coming out. There is a fusion of magma. And this magma is what? Hot magma. And due to contact with this magma, the surrounding rock get metamorphosed. So here, the magma is what? Hot magma. This is magma chamber. This is the vent of this magma. And here the magma comes over there. It's a hot magma of the temperature 1000 degrees centigrade. And because of it, this limestone get metamorphosed into marble. The formation of marble is the best example of contact metamorphism. Here the magma is in contact and magma is containing heat, and due to this heat, there is chemical change are brought in limestone and get converted into marble. Fine. So here, this protrusion of magma, vertical protrusion of magma is also called as dike. इसको डिक भी कहते हैं बच्चे. डाइक के आसपास बनते हैं. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि देयर इज रॉक and inside the crust we happen to have a rock. It may be any rock, कुछ भी हो सकता है. यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी रॉक थी पहले से. अब ये इग्नियस भी हो सकती है बच्चे, हो सकती है सेडिमेंट्री हो, है ना, या हो सकती है पहले से मेटामॉर्फोज्ड रॉक. अब यहाँ पे मैग्मा निकला. This is magma chamber, and this magma surrounds this entire rock. Fine. And due to the contact, this is the magma. And if it is a metamorphic rock, so there is a process of remetamorphism. Okay. ये कुछ भी हो सकता है बच्चे. It can be igneous rock. It can be, let's say, sedimentary. या हो सकता है ये ऑलरेडी मेटामॉर्फोज्ड रॉक हो. तो अगर ऑलरेडी मेटामॉर्फिक रॉक होगी तो यहाँ पे रीमेटामॉर्फिज्म हो जाएगा. रीमेटामॉर्फिज्म. ओके. और अगर इग्नियस सेडिमेंट्री है तो सिंपल मेटामॉर्फिज्म, है ना. So in this particular metamorphism, you will find that this rock, this is parent rock, get converted into metamorphic rock. Here heat is going to be the agent, and because of the contact with the heat, there is metamorphism. And what kind of change is involved? There is a chemical change. That is chemical change. So sometimes such rocks are referred as such rock which is having foreign inner rock and outer rock, igneous rock, are called as, इनको कहते हैं बच्चे xenolith. They are referred as xenolith. ऐसे लैंडफॉर्म्स को xenolith कहा जाता है. ये अच्छा कलर नहीं है. xenolith फॉर्मेशन. xenolith का मतलब inside rock is different, outside rock is igneous, and there is a metamorphism of inner rock, and such rocks are called as xenolith. So you'll find this kind of rock formation. Is it okay to everyone? Contact metamorphism, kind of change you will find, there is chemical change. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Next one is regional metamorphism. regional metamorphism. ठीक है बच्चे? Regional metamorphism. So it is taking place in a huge area, in a large area. And obviously it is because of tectonic activity. Tectonic activity. Tectonic activities. Hence it is a kind of dynamic metamorphism. Dynamic metamorphism. And obviously, most of the tectonic activity which results metamorphism, they are nothing but they are compression. Compression. So there will be folding for sure. Folding takes place. Fine. For example, these are the crustal rocks. These are the crustal rock. Different layer of crustal rock, and folding is continuously there. These are the forces F1 and F2 acting upon here. And the folds are developed. This fold may be inward, maybe outward also, syncline and anticline. Suppose that these are the crustal rock. Let me show the layer like this. This is the one layer of crustal rock. This is another layer of crustal rock. Here it is, another layer of crustal rock. This is another layer of. Okay, so you can find there is L1, L2, L3, L4. For example, I have just taken these 4 layers. Because of folding, there will be formation of syncline and anticline. Suppose that we are discussing syncline. So the folds are like this. This is one layer that get folded because of compressional force. Compression lag raha tha bachche. There is one fold. There is another layer that get folded like this. There is another layer that get folded like this. How many layers we have? 4 layers. No? So another layer. This is L1. This is L2. Here it is L3. So एक layer और होगा fold. So this is another layer of the folding that takes place. And because of it, because of compressional force, and we happen to have these layers, and what happened? The mid part, this mid part, get compressed massively. And this part is going to receive maximum pressure. This part, fine. Suppose that these are the folds. We happen to have this kind of folds. This kind of rocks are there. These are the sedimentary rock. This is the second layer, which has a kind of arrangement like this. Just I folded the layers. And this is the third layer, which is over here. But at the center, because of massive pressure, what happened? The folds have changed the internal structure. It is not similar to the surrounding bedrocks. Try to see the bedrock has different kind of grains, maybe different types of arrangement and alignment. But due to massive force, massive pressure, you will see here that there is a massive pressure because of compressional force. And due to this pressure, what happened? This rock, the center of the same rock, get metamorphosed and get converted into different types of grain, crystal, irrespective of the bedrocks. So bedrock से मिलते जुलते बिल्कुल नहीं है, ये अलग से बन गए. And this involve basically physical change in the structure. So here we have the metamorphosed rock, which is metamorphosed because of dynamism. So this rock is going to be metamorphic. Metamorphic rock. So in this metamorphism, you will find this dynamic metamorphism as well as regional metamorphism. For example, if we talk about Himalaya, Himalaya की बात अगर करें, so in Himalaya you all have this idea, there is compressional force which is due to collision of Indian plate as well as Eurasian plate. So there is Indian plate, आगे पढ़ेंगे हम लोग plate tectonics में, Indian plate, and here it is Eurasian plate. Both are continental in nature. So what happened? This beach wala part get folded and become the fold mountain. This is what Himalaya. So here we find Himalaya. And in Himalaya, because it was formed from the crustal rock, so we must have igneous metamorphic rock. But most of the rocks are sedimentary metamorphic. Sedimentary metamorphic. So in Himalaya, you will find this metamorphic rock, and most of it is what sedimentary metamorphic, because most of the sediment from Tethys Sea, Himalaya evolved from Tethys Sea. Tethys Sea. That's why most of the rock are sedimentary. What kind of metamorphism has done? Here, dynamic and regional metamorphism. The kind of change involved is going to be physical change. Physical change. Is it okay to everyone? Physical change. है ना? So this is dynamic regional metamorphism. Dynamic regional metamorphism, it involved dynamism. Sometimes we have static regional metamorphism. There is a regional metamorphism. Regional metamorphism. Which is of static in nature. Static in nature. ऐसा कैसे होगा बच्चे? It is because of pressure of overlying rock. Overlying rock. Pressure of overlying rock. अब ऐसे जैसे मान लीजिए कि you have different layer. There is one layer of this rock. So this is one layer of the rock. Then below it there is another layer of the rock. उसके नीचे कोई और लेयर है बच्चे, और सबसे नीचे आपकी रॉक है जिसके ऊपर प्रेशर है. So this is the rock which is having massive pressure. So this rock is under pressure of overlying rock. है ना? So this rock, whatever the nature of this rock, whether it is igneous or sedimentary, it get metamorphosed. It get metamorphosed. And it is because of pressure of overlying rock. So here it is a regional metamorphism in a large area. This metamorphism is taking place in large area. But what kind of metamorphism? No dynamism is involved. Here the pressure is involved, and pressure brings certain chemical change in static metamorphism. Static regional metamorphism. Static regional metamorphism. Is it okay? So pressure of overlying rock or superincumbent incumbent CUMBENT, superincumbent load. There is no dynamic force, rather it is a static metamorphism. Static metamorphism. ठीक है बच्चे? Next one is hydrometamorphism. Hydrometamorphism. ये simple बच्चे. Suppose that this is the mountain and here you have created a dam. So you have created this dam और यहाँ क्या हुआ बच्चे? Accumulation of water. ये रिजर्वायर है और ये रिजर्वायर इसलिए है क्योंकि यहाँ से एक नदी आती है बच्चे, and this river is continuously bringing lot of silt, and the silt is getting deposited over here. So the silt is nothing but going to get lithified sedimentary rock, and because of accumulation of water, what happened? Simple, there is a massive pressure generated over the silt, and this sedimentary rock get metamorphosed. So because of accumulation of water, accumulation of water, the lower rocks get metamorphosed. Lower rock get metamorphosed. अच्छा याद रखना बच्चे, जहां पानी होगा वहां पे पक्की बात है देयर विल बी केमिकल चेंज. केमिकल चेंज होगा कि नहीं? आंसर है हाँ, पक्की बात है. और दूसरी बात है, बिकॉज ऑफ प्रेशर देयर इज फिजिकल चेंज टू. So this hydro metamorphism involve both chemical as well as physical change. Chemical change is due to various chemical reaction that is taking place over here. यहाँ पे बहुत कुछ हो सकता है, यहाँ solution हो सकता है बच्चे. Solution, there will be hydration, there will be oxidation, carbonation, है ना? These are the different chemical reaction which involve water, oxygen as well as carbon dioxide, which is readily available. And it also involves physical change because of high pressure. Underlying rock get altered. So in hydrometamorphism, we happen to have both chemical change as well as physical change. So this hydrometamorphism is also called as hydrostatic metamorphism. जैसे shell is a sedimentary rock. So shell can be transformed into schist. Indeed, there is thermal metamorphism also, but हाँ यहाँ पे there is hydrostatic metamorphism too. Fine. Next one is, fourth one is hydrothermal metamorphism. Hydrothermal metamorphism. So there will be water, but there will be heat also. So both agents are going to cause metamorphism. So there will be water and there will be heat. So obviously there will be so many chemical reaction that goes on. Okay. So you can write the physical and chemical, the physical and chemical property of the rock get altered by weight and pressure, weight and pressure of water mass and heated steam, heated steam along with various various gases. अब जैसे क्या है बच्चे, कहीं हीटिंग भी हो रही हो, पानी भी हो, तो पहले तो वेट ऑफ वाटर और उसके प्रेशर से देयर विल बी सम फिजिकल चेंज, बट बिकॉज ऑफ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ स्टीम देयर विल बी सेवरल रिएक्शन. मे बी देयर इज सल्फर रॉक्स, सल्फर डाइऑक्साइड का बनना, मिथेन का बनना, एंड दीज ऑल कैन टेक प्लेस over there, which is what called as thermometamorphism. Thermometamorphism. So geographically, it is very less area where this kind of very less area where such metamorphism takes place. Largely, it is thermal metamorphism as well as regional or dynamic metamorphism. Okay, so we have regional metamorphism, dynamic metamorphism. So largely, it is dynamic regional and thermal metamorphism that takes place. Okay, so this is the different types of metamorphism. And some important rocks we must have, like marble. So marble is a metamorphic rock, whether it is limestone, or it is dolomite, both are going to get converted into marble. Both get converted into marble. Okay. Dolomite, there is a chalk. Chalk also get converted into fine. Then there is schist. So shale, which is a sedimentary rock, get converted into schist. Schist, it's a fine grained metamorphic rock. Fine grained metamorphic rock, schist. Schist is a word which is derived from French word "siste." Siste, it's a French word that means to split. To split. There is another word, German word, that is cystose. Cystose, it's a German word. That also means same, to split. Okay. When shell undergoing intensive compression, intensive compression. That means dynamic metamorphism हो रहा है बच्चे. Intensive compression. It get converted into cyst. Okay. Sometimes cell also get converted into slate. It depends upon the chemical composition. So this is what the sedimentary rock we happen to have. Then sandstone when get folded, it get converted into quartzite. Granite, again, it is thermal metamorphism, granite to gneisses. Granite to gneiss. So gneiss, granite, these are the example of metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rock. Fine. Coal get converted into graphite, and further heating and pressure change it into diamond. Fine. So these are the metamorphism and metamorphic rocks. Metamorphism and metamorphic rock. So we have schist, slate, gneiss, quartzite, marble as an example of metamorphic. Is it okay? So this is all about rocks and mineral. We have covered it. And the next fundamental chapter to understand is what forces responsible for geomorphic process. Geomorphic process. So forces which is shaping the earth's surface. It is of two types. One is endogenic force. Another one is exogenic force. Endogenic force, which is originating inside the earth. Originate inside the earth and give rise to first order and second order landforms. First order and second order landforms. What are first order and second order landforms? Let me explain. First order, they are continents, and ocean basin. These are the landform which happen to be called as first order landform. And the second order landform, it include mountain, volcanic mountain, block mountain. It include plateau. That is what volcanic in origin. That is due to endogenic force. It include emergence. It include upliftment. कहीं हो बच्चे अपलिफ्टमेंट ऑफ लैंड, कहीं सबमर्जेंस हो, कहीं सबसीडेंस हो। इन सब से क्या बनेंगे बच्चे? देयर विल बी सर्टेन चेंज ऑन द फर्स्ट ऑर्डर लैंडफॉर्म, वी कॉल इट सेकंड ऑर्डर लैंड। So second order landform on the earth is created by exogenic force and first order. These are what? Originating inside the earth, and they are doing these jobs. They create first order and second order landform. What about exogenic force? They act upon the earth's surface. Earth surface. They result withering, erosion, transportation, they result withering, erosion, transportation, deposition on the earth's surface. And creates third order landforms. Creates third order landform. An exogenic force always oppose the endogenic force. जो कुछ भी endogenic force ने बनाया है, ये उसको खत्म कर। ओके, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जैसे इंडोजेनिक फोर्स ने एक फोल्ड माउंटेन बनाया, अब एक्सोजेनिक फोर्स उस पर ग्लेशियर और रिवर चलाना शुरू करेगा। So when river is moving, there is formation of V-shaped valley. We have gorge, we have canyon, waterfall, and so on and so forth. We talk about river landform. We talk about glaciated landform. Glaciated landform. These all are third order land. Glaciated landform. We have pyramidal peak. We have Paternoster Lake. Noster Lake. So what are these landform? They are the third order landform. Who created and so on and so forth. बहुत सारे landform हम लोग पढ़ने वाले हैं. It is created by exogenic force. So endogenic force inside the earth and exogenic force outside the earth's surface. Endogenic force give rise to first and second order landform, while exogenic force undergoing weathering, erosion, transportation and deposition, they create third order land. Is it okay to everyone? Third order land. This is third order landform like V-shaped valley, gorge, canyon, etc. First order landform, this is what continents, ocean basin. Second order landform, mountain, volcanic mountain, plateau, etc. These are the second order land. Fine. So forces, let's take up one by one. So endogenic force, let me give you the flow chart. So endogenic force, sometimes it is also called as endogenetic force. Fine. It is internal force. It is of two types. One is slow force. Another one is sudden. Slow force, very slow in occurrence. It brings changes for sure, but but cannot be perceived. Perceived on a human time scale. On a human time scale, we can't perceive it. They are very slow, but they bring changes for sure. It bring changes for sure. कहाँ चेंज लाएंगे बच्चे? ऑन द अर्थ सरफेस. ये अंदर से ही काम करेंगे, बट अर्थ सरफेस के ऊपर चेंज लाएंगे, एंड दे आर वेरी श्योर. एंड व्हाट अबाउट सडन फोर्स? रैपिड change with a blink of eye. With a blink of and the examples: sudden force like volcano, earthquake, earthquake. These are the sudden force that bring the rapid change, and it can be perceived on a human time scale. मतलब seconds में changes ला देते हैं, अंतर ला देते हैं बच्चे. ठीक है? So sudden force, we have quick action force, and that include volcanism, that include seismic activity. And what about slow force? Again, it can be divided into two. One is called as continent building force. Continent building force. It brings changes on the continent, and another name is eperogenetic. Eperogenetic force. Eperogenetic force or continent building force. And another one is mountain building force. Mountain building force. Mountain building force. Eperogenetic force, continent building force, or mountain building force. That is also called as orogenetic force. Orogenetic force. ठीक है बच्चे? माउंटेन बिल्डिंग फोर्स, नाम से स्पष्ट है, इससे माउंटेन बनेंगे. और कॉन्टिनेंट बिल्डिंग फोर्स से भी माउंटेन बनते हैं, लेकिन तरीका इनका दूसरा होता है. क्या तरीका होता है ये सीखते हैं. So this mountain building force is of two types, and continent building force is also of two types. Continent building force, we have upward force and downward force. Upward force and downward force. ये अच्छा नहीं लग रहा. And mountain building force is again of two types. One is compressional force. Another one is tension. Okay. There is upward force and downward force. These are vertical forces. Vertical force. Okay. And while compressional and tensional force, they are tangential forces. Tangential forces. Okay. Vertical force का मतलब है बच्चे, there will be, suppose that this is the crust and there is upward force. So the movement is either upward or downward. So there is, suppose that upward movement. So we happen to have a kind of formation like this. We find this kind of uplifted part. So here we see there is a formation of block mountain that is called as horst. and here it is called as graben. And same structure you will find due to downward force. मान लो ये नीचे चला गया, ये नीचे चला गया, ये ऊपर रह गया, तो भी तो यही बनेगा, है ना? Suppose that this is the fault line that develops, and along this fault line, this part goes down. So we happen to have this kind of structure. Here the lifted part is called as horst, and this is what graben, which is what Rift Valley and gravel. Fine. This is how the Rift Valley goes. और इसी में आपका क्या है? There will be a river flowing through it. जैसे यहाँ पे आप विंध्यन देख लो, सतपुड़ा देख लो, और बीच में नर्मदा. This is the example of Rift Valley and the graben. Fine. So here you will find the movement is going to cause vertical displacement. Fine. Vertical displacement. But in orogenetic force, you will find tangential force. जैसे this is the crust, and here it is compressional force. So what happened? This part get folded. So we happen to have fold amount. है ना? These are the folding that takes place due to compressional force. So here compressional force is what? Tangential force. Tangential force, and that's why we have folding takes place or faulting takes place. So one by one इसको सीखेंगे. Let's take up this epirogenetic force or continent building force. Epirogenic or genetic force. Epirogenetic force or continent building force. Continent building. है ना बच्चे? Epirogenetic or continent building force. Let's take up one by one. So in epirogenetic force, first we are going to discuss upward force. So upward force, two things can be possible. One, that is upliftment. And another one is emergence. When there is a land mass involved, then we call it upliftment. But once there is a water body involved, then we call it emergence. For example, upward force, suppose that this is the crust, and we all have this idea that crust is, this lithosphere is floating over asthenosphere. आगे आपको बताएंगे, आप वैसे भी जानते हैं, इंटीरियर ऑफ अर्थ पढ़ा है आपने, asthenosphere, and here it is the lithosphere. Due to one or another reason, what happened inside the asthenosphere, continuously there is a upward force acting over here. तो लगातार यहाँ फोर्स अपवर्ड मूव कर रहा है बच्चे, तो ऑब्वियसली यहाँ पे पहले क्रैक डेवलप होगा, चट्टाने टूटनी शुरू होंगी, क्रिस्टल रॉक, क्रैक से फ्रैक्चर बनेंगे और फ्रैक्चर से फॉल्ट. जैसे ही फॉल्ट बनेगा, ये वाला ब्लॉक क्या होगा बच्चे? ये ऊपर की ओर आ जाएगा. अब जैसे ये ऊपर आएगा, तो किस तरह का स्ट्रक्चर आपको यहाँ देखने को मिलेगा? लेट मी शो. दिस इज द क्रस्ट एंड दिस ब्लॉक गेट uplifted, and this is the crust. These will remain over there, and ये वाला portion क्या हुआ? ऊपर उठ गया. So this ऊपर वाला portion is called as horst. And the lower portion is called as graben. These are the German term. Horst means block mountain. Horst, block mountain. Horst is basically elevation. Okay. So there is an elevation which is called as block mountain, and this graben is called as rift valley. Graben is called as rift valley. So horst and graben formation takes place. So on the continent, we happen to have Block Mountain and Rift Valley. So there is upward force, and here we see that this area is what land, पूरा लैंड ही था बच्चे. तो यहाँ पे इस अपवर्ड फोर्स को वी कॉल अपलिफ्टमेंट. अपलिफ्ट है ना. This upward force is called as upliftment. Okay, but when it is called as emergence, let me show. Emergence. Suppose that this is a land and here it is ocean. This is ocean. And what about this? This is the continental crust. Here it is oceanic crust. This is ocean. Right? अब क्या हुआ कि यहाँ पे लगातार ऊपर की ओर फोर्स लग रहे थे, यानी अपवर्ड फोर्स वाज एक्टिंग. एंड व्हाट हैपेंड, दिस रॉक गेट ब्रोकन एंड फॉल डेवलप्स ओवर हियर. और यहाँ भी फॉल डेवलप हो गए बच्चे. अब कुछ दिनों के बाद ये वाला जो ब्लॉक था, जो फॉल डेवलप होने के बाद दिस ब्लॉक गेट रेज्ड अप और ये ऊपर आ गया बच्चे. तो कुछ ऐसा स्ट्रक्चर बन जाएगा. देखिए जरा, देयर विल बी अ लैंड, then there is a water, and then again there is uplifted land like this, and here it is the ocean. So now the ocean is going to see landmass protruded above the water. So this landmass is what? Immersed landmass. ये ऐसा था ना बच्चों? Fine. So this landmass get immersed and it become island. अब इसको आप island कहेंगे. So here it is what we call emergence. For example, east coast of India. East coast of India is an example of emergent coast. Emergent coast. So coast get emergent. अब जैसे ये मान लो यहाँ गहराई है, अब ये पोर्शन यहाँ पे आ गया है ना. तो अब ये जो प्लेटफॉर्म होगा इतनी दूर का हो जाएगा. जैसे ईस्ट कोस्ट में यही हुआ है बच्चे. So most of the coast of east coast is emergent coast, and there is emergence. Due to that, the east coast is not going to be deep. आपको काफी दूर जाना होता होगा तब जाके डेप्थ जो है पड़ती है. दैट्स वाई जो ईस्ट फ्लोइंग रिवर है बच्चे, उनको एक अच्छा खासा प्लेटफॉर्म मिल जाता है जब वो फ्लो कर रही होती है. ड्यू टू दिस प्लेटफॉर्म they usually deposit whatever they have got in form of delta. So east flowing river are making delta. Why? Because they can make delta. यहाँ से ईस्ट फ्लोइंग रिवर गई, अपने सारे सेडिमेंट डिपॉजिट करके फिर ओशन में चली जाती है बच्चे. सो देयर इज फॉर्मेशन ऑफ डेल्टा. वेयर डेल्टा फॉर्मेशन टेक्स प्लेस? ईस्ट कोस्ट. ईस्ट फ्लोइंग रिवर डेल्टा क्यों बनाती है? क्योंकि ईस्ट कोस्ट इमर्जेंट कोस्ट का उदाहरण है बच्चे. सो व्हाट इज इमर्जेंस? व्हेन देयर इज अ वाटर बॉडी involved and upliftment takes place, we call it emergence. Is it okay to everyone? बताइए बच्चे.
Yes, sir.
Let's come to the downward force. Downward force. So obviously there is a vertical movement and continuously a force is acting on this very block, and it is what always going to be downward, and this is land. Okay, and due to this downward force, continuously acting this downward force, there is a fall develops and this block get means moved down, and the landform which is going to be created looks like this. Here the elevated part is called as horst, Horst, and this part is called as gravel. Horst is also called as block mountain. Block mountain. And graben is called as rift. Rift. Graben is called as rift. Horst and rift valley. ठीक है बच्चे, हॉर्स्ट एंड रिफ्ट वैली. और इस केस में जब लैंड से कोई चीज डाउन हो जाती है, सो हियर वी कॉल इट सबसीडेंस. Subsidence. Okay. So here it is downward force, vertical force that is going to bring change on the continent, where it is called as subsidence. For example, there are many examples. One example is Rhine River. Rhine River and Vosges Mountain and Black Forest. This is the best example of this subsidence. So here you will find Rhine River and Vosges Mountain in the Europe. You will find that there is a block mountain of Vosges and there is a block mountain of Black Forest. And in between these two, Rhine River flow. Rhine River is flowing. Okay. So there is Black Forest. The eastern block is called as Black Forest, and here it is the Vosges. Black Forest and Vosges. So you'll find this structure. Fine, Vosges and Black Forest. Fine. Vosges and Black Forest. And this is the Rhine River. Rhine River is flowing through Rift Valley. Rift Valley. Okay. And these are the mountains. And the similar example you can find in India also. In India, we have Vindhyan as well as Satpura. We have Vindhyan. So where is the Vindhyan mountain chain? We will find this Vindhyan mountain chain from Gujarat to Sasaram. And here it is Satpura. And in between these two mountains, we have a plateau over here, that is Amar Kantak Plateau. And we have a river, that is Narmada. And there is a river Tapti. This is Vindhyan mountain. Vindhyan. Here it is Satpura. Satpura. And we have Narmada River Valley. Narmada is flowing through Rift Valley and Tapti Rift Valley. So these are some example of Rift Valley and Block Mountain. And there are many Block Mountain and the Rift Valley. For example, another Block Mountain, Sierra Nevada. Sierra Nevada, it is in United States of America. It's a block mountain. Most extensive block mountain. Extensive block mountain of the world. Almost 650 kilometer long and 80-kilometer wide. 80-kilometer wide. So because of wideness, it is what most extensive block mountain, and average height is ranging from 2400 meter to 3600 meter. That's why extensive. Otherwise, सबसे लंबी जो माउंटेन चेन है बच्चे, लॉन्गेस्ट ब्लॉक माउंटेन चेन इज विंध्यन. लॉन्गेस्ट ब्लॉक माउंटेन is Vindhyan, which is almost 1200 kilometer. Okay, but it is not so wide. Wide 80 किलोमीटर वाइड है बच्चे सियरा नेवादा. ठीक है. विंध्यन is hardly 25 किलोमीटर वाइड. So longest block mountain विंध्यन है. एवरेज हाइट बहुत कम है बच्चे. एवरेज हाइट of Vindhyan is 450 to 600 meter. So we have the longest block mountain, but extensive block mountain in Sierra Nevada. So these are the example of block mountain, and they were formed because of subsidence or because of upliftment. That means there is a vertical move. And what happens if there is water body involved? So downward movement is called as submergence. Submergence. Downward movement is called as submergence if water body is involved. And the best example is formation of Western Ghats. Western Ghat is a semi-block mountain. Fine. So if you see Western Ghat earlier, it was like this. This was the Western Ghats. Here it is the Eastern Ghat. And this was the Arabian Sea. But because of a continuous downward force, here you can see the fault develops. And this entire block get what? Downward movement, and the kind of structure which you are going to see over here. So you'll find a escarpment like this. Here it is the eastern slope of Western Ghat. This is Eastern Ghat. And now we happen to have a narrow stretch of a little narrow stretch of which plane? There is a plane that is West Coastal Plain. West Coastal Plain. West Coastal Plain. And this is Arabian Sea. Arabian Sea. And basically this is the fault line along which submergence have taken place. Here you will find submergence. So West Coast, most of the West Coast is submerged coast. West Coast of India. Most of the West Coast is submerged. तभी आप देखोगे बच्चे बहुत ही नैरो वेस्ट कोस्टल प्लेन है. वेस्ट कोस्टल प्लेन. और आप देखोगे जैसे ही आप हाई सी की तरफ जाओ बहुत जल्दी गहराई बढ़ जाती है. 180 मीटर की गहराई. 500 मीटर भी आगे नहीं जाओगे तो मिल जाती है. इसीलिए जो वेस्ट फ्लोइंग रिवर होती हैं वो डेल्टा नहीं बना पाती. उनके सेडिमेंट्स जो आते हैं वो सारे के सारे सेडिमेंट वेव द्वारा ले लिए जाते हैं. दैट्स व्हाई दे आर फॉर्मिंग एस्चुरीज. They are forming estuaries. So this is what along west coast, and here we have the escarpment of Western Ghat. Falls like this. So you'll find this is the escarpment. The west slope of Western Ghat is an steep slope. You will find a steep slope. It is just the escarpment. escarpment. So Western Ghat is also a kind of block mountain, but it's not a true block mountain. That's why it is referred as escarpment mountain. And indeed, it is of almost 1600 kilometer long from Tapti estuary to Kanyakumari. कन्या या केप कोमोरिन कहते हैं बच्चे आपसे. But do remember, it is the longest escarpment, but not the true block mountain. Indeed, there is there is submergence that have taken. That's why most of the west coast is submerged coast. Is it okay to everyone? So you understand submergence, you understand subsidence. So when there is a land, there will be subsidence. When there is a water body involved, we call it submergence. वैसे इमरजेंस और अपलिफ्टमेंट, ये समझ में आया कि नहीं बच्चों?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
मेरी आवाज आप लोग को ठीक ठीक पहुंचती है? क्योंकि पता नहीं क्यों जो रिकॉर्डिंग है उसमें बहुत धीमी आवाज आती है. तो कुछ इसके साउंड में दिक्कत है. अब मुझे कुछ सेट वेट करना आता है. ठीक है. सो आती है परफेक्ट. ओके, थैंक यू. चलिए, सो हम लोग बात कर रहे थे एपिरोजेनेटिक फोर्सेस, कॉन्टिनेंट बिल्डिंग फोर्सेस की, एंड वी हैव कवर्ड इट. नेक्स्ट वन इज माउंटेन बिल्डिंग फोर्स. माउंटेन बिल्डिंग फोर्स. अच्छा, आपने देखा ब्लॉक माउंटेन इज क्रिएटेड बाय upward force also as well as downward force. So it's not like कि mountain building force काम करेंगे तभी mountain बनेंगे. Block mountain can also be created because of upward force and downward force, and both the force are acting together as a team. Fine. Mountain building force is of two types. One is compression. Compression or folding. Another one is tension. Tension or fault. है ना बच्चे? अच्छा, कंप्रेशन फोर्स से फोल्ड भी बनते हैं और फॉल्ट भी बनते हैं. सो कंप्रेशनल फोर्स कैन क्रिएट फोल्ड माउंटेन as well as it also create block mountain. While faulting create block mountains only. Block mountains. So compression का मतलब ये हुआ, this is the crust and both the forces are acting towards each other. F1, F2, and what happened? The mid part get folded like this. Crust get folded. We call it folding. This is what the crust, and here the fold happens. And compressional force result folded node. Folded node. Compressional force also develop reverse fault. So if crust is get compressed from both the side, so what happened? There is a faulting that develops. Sorry. हैंग करेंगे. हैंग हो गया बच्चे। अरे नोट्स ही गायब हाँ हाँ तो क्या, चलो मुझे लगा नोट्स गायब हो गया। So we are talking about folding. So what happened when there is compressional force? So this compressional force also responsible for faulting activity. Faulting activity. So this will be the fault line because of compression. And here it is a reverse fault, which is going to be. I will discuss in detail what is reverse fault, what is normal fault. While in block mountain formation or tension, this is the crust and the forces are acting opposite to each other. So this is F1, F2. So when such forces are acting, obviously this crust will feel a tension, and due to that crack develops. And along the crack there will be fault develop, and maybe upward or downward movement, and there is continuously formation of block, mountain and rift valley. Block, mountain, rift valley formation, rift valley formation, ramp valley formation, ramp valley formation. These are taking place in case of tensional force. तो यहीं आज रुकते हैं, कल इसके आगे की कहानी compressional force, the type of folds, and tensional force, the type of faults will be discussed tomorrow. ठीक है, कल हम लोग फोर्सेस कर लेंगे, फिर हम लोग शुरू करेंगे बच्चे कॉन्टिनेंटल ड्रिफ्ट थियरी. When post drift study, then we will go for plate tectonics and all. So कल से आपका जो ये भी आपके ऑप्शनल का ही पार्ट है, बट दीज आर द बेसिक थिंग विच यू रिक्वायर to develop the concept of optional geography. Fine. So, shall I stop here?
Sir, please share the notes.
I shared the last notes or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ठीक है, मैं
We
कभी.
got that.
ओके ओके, और कोई बात बेटे? बाकी लोगों को भी जोड़िए, जो लोग ऑप्शनल ज्योग्राफी पढ़ना चाहते हैं जोड़े, क्योंकि बच्चे थोड़े कम हैं इस बार. तो अगर आपके कोई दोस्त हैं जो ज्योग्राफी ऑप्शनल लेना चाहते हैं तो आप उन्हें बताएं कि क्लासेस कैसी हैं, आपको समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं. ठीक है. सो
सर एक क्वेश्चन था.
हाँ बेटे बताएं.
सर वेस्टर्न घाट ट्रू ब्लॉक माउंटेन इसीलिए नहीं है क्योंकि उसके वेस्टर्न पार्ट इरोडेड है.
बेटे वेस्टर्न पार्ट स्कार्पमेंट है, और एक ब्लॉक माउंटेन उसको इसलिए भी नहीं कहते क्योंकि उसकी रिफ्ट वैली नहीं है.
ओके.
आप समझ पा रहे हैं?
हाँ हाँ.
हाँ. सो रिफ्ट वैली अगर होती तो उसे हम ट्रू ब्लॉक माउंटेन कहते हैं, लेकिन वहां पे रिफ्ट वैली नहीं है. वहां एक ग्रेवन बना जो कि सबमर्ज कोस्ट के रूप में है. तो कहीं कहीं उसे ब्लॉक माउंटेन कहते हैं, मानते हैं, लेकिन जब बात आती है ट्रू ब्लॉक माउंटेन की तो वेस्टर्न घाट्स को स्कार्पमेंट ही कहा जाता है. अदरवाइज जो सियरा नेवादा मैंने आपको बताया, उससे तो वेस्टर्न घाट काफी लंबा है और एक्सटेंसिव भी है, एवरेज हाइट भी अच्छी खासी है, लेकिन विंध्यन को ही माना जाता है लॉन्गेस्ट ब्लॉक माउंटेन चेन. वो 1200 किलोमीटर ही लंबा है, जबकि वेस्टर्न घाट 1600 किलोमीटर लंबा है. ठीक है.
यस सर.
ओके.
यस सर.
और कोई
थैंक यू.
सवाल? So shall I sign off? So thank you very much for today.